different space to be in, but I think it's going to be fun. I was very impressed by the number of people who contacted me to do different items for this service, and we're hoping this is going to be a regular event. For the months that we have 5 Sundays, we're going to try to slide in one Sunday that will be a coffee house style. We're going to try to include more people from the community in. By holding it down here, not in the sanctuary, we're hopeful that people will come and join us. So we're going to have some time for hymn singing this morning as well, and I have left purposely the first hymn blank. So he's looking through there, and I'm gonna take the first one that hollers out a number of the hymn.
She's ready.
What did you say?
5:20.
5. All right, we have our first hymn already.
Do you want the second one?
No, you gotta give somebody else a chance.
You were one of those students.
So Lynn Lawson asked me to announce this morning that there will be a celebration of the lives of Dick and Dottie Hubby on Saturday, August 7th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Peachum Snow Roller Barn at the museum. We'll have that in the bulletin for next week as well, so that it will be in print. But mark your calendars if you can do that for Saturday, August 7th from 2 to 4 p.m. for a celebration of life of Dick and Dottie Hubby at the roller barn. Do I have other announcements this morning, Marilyn?
Actually, Helen Victor, any of you knew Rosalie Harris? She was
Rosalie Harris.
died on the 17th of July.
If you sit there, then it'll be
We
safe.
don't have everyone's attention.
She was a very well-known person in St. Johnsbury and represented the synagogue there often in various events in town. And why I'm mentioning her, aside from the fact that she was a wonderful person, is that in her obituary it says, Rosalie is perhaps best known to a generation of St. Johnsbury as a person who explained Jewish beliefs and traditions through her annual talks in the Sunday schools of almost every church in town. Rosalie had a way of making Jewish traditions and beliefs accessible and understandable to non-Jews within the context of their own religions, breaking down the barriers which too often divide our communities. We need her even more now. Unfortunately, we didn't have that chance. You know, people did have that chance during the life of us.
Thank you, Marilyn. Are there other announcements this morning? Nancy?
Just to remind people that this afternoon at the library, I think at 4 o'clock, if you need something to do on a rainy day, Abdi Iftin, who is a Somalian refugee, immigrant, is going to give a talk about his experience winning the diversity lottery and coming to the United States and his adjustment to living here. And he's a very interesting speaker, so I recommend you all come.
Don't miss it. The book is excellent.
It's 4 o'clock at the library.
I think it's
Yeah,
4. Is it
4?
4 o'clock? Yeah.
And if they have more of a response than they can seat at the library, I think they're going to come here and use the sanctuary. Although our tours don't end technically until 4 o'clock, I'm not sure we'll have a lot of folks attending our tours today. Good morning, haircut. I'm sorry. That's all right. Come on in. We're just starting.
The tour guide will make sure that it's
Okay, we're driving through.
yeah.
Mark? Anywhere you like.
You said dumpling there next to my food. Again, there's food over here if you want to kind of munch as we go through. We just got some lovely macadamia white chocolate. White chocolate macadamia nut cookies. And for those who came late, this is quinoa and peas and cheddar cheese and everything, and a veggie salad and all
Yes,
sorts of stuff.
we arranged that.
I will leave by
All right, if you don't have any, Nancy?
Hi.
No, I have a small announcement.
Okay.
Just a little correction, just at the end, we're gonna sing a trio by Mendelssohn, not Handel.
Oh, yes, my error.
In case you thought, whoa, Handel.
Mendelssohn. Okay, I'll make that correction here.
So I have dropped the ball here and forgotten to bring a birthday card this morning for Lorna Quimby, whose birthday is the 30th, so I will send her one on behalf of the church. It's just that you won't all be signing it, but I think her address is in the order of worship, and if you would all like to shower her with individual cards, I'm sure she would be very happy about that. And John Marshall's is the 31st, so I will send him one also on your behalf.
So Lorna also would love to see people, but they just suggested that we call before we go over. So I think that would be great. It'd be fun to have some folks go over and report back and let us know how she's doing. All right, Tim?
I'm going to put out the town tidings this week. So if there's any local announcements or something that you'd like me to include, just email me with that information. Like Aging Well and Peach, I don't know if they have something coming up. Do we have a food drive this month or no? Not this month. We start next month again?
We're not sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Brenda is also in Montpelier, or where? In Montpelier.
Brenda is?
Yes.
Really?
And she can have visitors as long as we call first. So I have the information in that thing.
All right, yeah, you might want to put that into the newsletter
Okay.
so that people get it.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Okay. All right, if we have no more announcements, I'm going to have Ruth lead us into the worship with praise. I also did want to mention before we share our opening unison prayer is that maybe we could hold our applause until the very end this morning for all of the things that we have going on. That would be nice. Okay, please join me in the opening unison prayer. Holy and beautiful, the custom which brings us together in the presence of the Most High, to face our ideals, to remember our loved ones in absence, to give thanks, to make confession, to offer forgiveness, to be enlightened, and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour, we reach the worship of ages, the cathedral music of history, three unseen guests attend, faith, hope, and love. Let all our hearts prepare that place. Okay, so our first hymn is number 520. And be thinking about the next one, and we'll have to figure that out when we get there. We will sing the first and the last verse.
Oh,
Now the choir is going to sing When Peace Like a River. First and last. Let's slide over.
Yep, there it is. At this time, please observe a moment of silence to collect our thoughts and ready ourselves to share any concerns and celebrations. Continued support and prayers for Marcus and Sandra Jacobus, because Sandra is going through her fifth round of 6 rounds of chemotherapy and now for breast cancer. Also prayers for Cynthia, who is the postmistress in South Reigate Post Office, and her husband Ralph. Ralph has had several heart attacks and remains in the hospital. And he's at a distance from her.
He's actually, they got him to Dartmouth, but
Okay.
his heart stopped 2 or 3 times. They had to put in a defibrillator now, so he's having a hard time coming back from that.
Nancy?
Prayers for Leandro, who lives with us. His grandfather father died in Cuba last week, and he just found out yesterday that his uncle, his aunt, his cousin, and his father all have COVID and are in the hospital there.
Oh, my word.
Also, my sister-in-law Debbie and my brother-in-law Mike, they passed earlier this year.
Patty? Yes. I did get down to my brother's last weekend, and both he and his wife are in very terrible health. And I don't know what it's going to become of either one of them in the near future. Oh, Jesus, I'll lose themselves.
You know, as we collectively raise these concerns to you, O God, please hold Sandra and Marcus, Cynthia and Ralph, Leandro on the death of his father and his whole family with COVID, Ann's brother and sister-in-law, and Debbie and Mike's families. Please hold them all in the palm of your hand and give strength and courage for the journey. Amen. Okay, now we have another hymn. Who's got one ready? 344. 344. Thanks, Jen. I hope I have that page.
Maybe that's why the intro sounds.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I guess we better just do two. Maybe we can do the other two after. So let's do the first and the second verse instead of the first and last.
When the gifts of God surprise us and our joy must find a voice, when the earth is brimmed with glory and compels us to rejoice, sing for beauty and abundance. Sing for mysteries we share. Sing for marvels that revive us. Sing for wonder everywhere.
When relationships are broken and no call for peace is heard, when our differences define us and division seems absurd, sing to join our scattered voices, sing to name how we agree, sing to bridge all that divides us, sing to form community.
When injustice grows around us and the truth gives us way to lies, when the violent build the empire and strong suppress the wise, sing down jails of hate that cage us, sing down idols we hold dear, sing down strongholds of oppression, sing down fortress of fear.
When the love of God defines us and relationships are healed, when injustice is defeated and the reign of Christ revealed, sing with breath the Spirit gives us, sing for justice that will be, sing down praise through endless ages, sing for grace that sets us free.
Going to offer us a piano solo this morning that he actually composed himself called Lost and Found. Our next submission is from Lynn Lawson, who couldn't be here today but wanted to share this. She loves the reverence that it is conveyed. Reading Nehemiah 8, verses 1 through 12 from the New Living Translation. May I read you this?
Ezra reads the law. In October, when the Israelites had settled in their towns, all the people assembled with a unified purpose at the square just inside the water gate. They asked Ezra the scribe to bring out the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord had given for Israel to obey. So on October 8th, Ezra the priest brought the book of the law before the assembly, which included the men and women and all the children old enough to understand. He faced the square just inside the water gate from early morning until noon and read aloud to everyone who could understand. All the people listened closely to the book of the law. Ezra stood on a high wooden platform that had been made for the occasion. He stood on the platform in full view of all the people. When they saw him open the book, they all rose to their feet. Then Ezra praised the Lord, the great God, and all the people chanted, Amen, Amen, as they lifted their hands. The Levites then instructed the people in the law, while everyone remained in their places. They read from the book of the law of God and clearly explained the meaning of what was being read, helping the people to understand each passage. Then Nehemiah the governor, Ezra the priest and scribe, and the Levites who were interpreting for the people said to them, Don't mourn or weep on such a day as this, for today is a sacred day before the Lord your God. For the people had all been weeping as they listened to the words of the law. So the people went away to eat and drink at a festive meal, to share the gifts of food, and to celebrate with great joy because they had heard God's words and understood them.
So this is a hymn you'll be familiar with. But I picked it because I discovered a woman who does arrangements. I'm going to look for more of her stuff because people like she and John McKenzie shows that there are a lot of non-traditional harmonies that can be woven together and really interesting. So it's a very traditional song, but she's done a great job with it, I think.
Now Mary Daly is going to read for us a poem by Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken.
This old age is not fun, let me tell you.
Yeah, the alternative is pretty good.
Well, Robert Frost happens to be, for obvious reasons, my favorite poet. And so, and this probably is the one that kind of led me down my strange path for my life. Leaving Vermont and going west and then coming back and everything else. Anyway, the road not taken. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And being one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Done it many times. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
So we were going to have another anthem by the choir, but we didn't have time to rehearse it and work it up. So we promised to do the simple gifts that Tim Judas had selected for us in a very near future Sunday morning. Next I have on tap Bruce McLean, who's going to speak about trees.
Should we stand for him at the end?
Okay, so last week I made reference to the catastrophic fires that have swept through northern Siberia for the past 3 years. I bring this up because the statistics on this continue to stun me. Last year, northern Siberia lost 60,000 square miles due to forest fires through that land. And just to put that into some sort of context and perspective, that's 4 times more than the land that was burned in the United States in last year's fires.
Wow.
Or to put it in another frame of mind for you, that's an area burned larger than the state of Florida. This year, already 40,000 square miles of forest and tundra in northern Siberia have been burned. And northern Siberia today, oh, by the way, that 40,000 square miles that have been burned is just 3 weeks into Siberia's fire season. Northern Siberia today is the fastest warming region on this planet. And this ongoing environmental catastrophe, as everyone in this room knows, is just one of many environmental disasters that have been pummeling the planet this summer. And so it makes me wonder, how can one not conclude that climate change represents the most dire existential threat to this planet and mankind today? And the point of this is that it got me thinking last week about trees. and the fact that this critical resource is being lost at an alarming rate around the world, despite the fact that trees provide shelter for countless bird species and animals, traps carbon dioxide emissions throughout the world, and is vital in lowering the temperature, particularly in urban areas. So I would like to pay homage to trees with a poem written way before any of us ever heard of the phrase climate change. It's called A Salute to the Trees by Henry Van Dyke. Some of you people may remember him, okay? Did that great poem about Christmas. Many a tree is found in the wood, and every tree for its use is good. Some for the strength of the gnarled root, some for the sweetness of flower or fruit, some for shelter against the storm, and some to keep the hearthstone warm. Some for roof and some for the beam, and some for a boat to breast the storm. In the wealth of the wood since the world began, the trees have offered their gifts to man. But the glory of trees is more than their gifts. 'Tis a beautiful wonder of life that lives. From a wrinkled seed in an earth-bound clod, a column, an arch in the temple of God. A pillar of power, a dome of delight, a shrine of song, and a joy of sight. Their roots are the nurses of rivers in birth. Their leaves are alive with the breath of the earth. They shelter the dwellings of man over his home with the look of a loving friend. I have camped in the whispering forest of pines. I have slept in the shadow of trees and vines. In the knees of an oak at the foot of a palm, I have found good rest and slumber's balm. And now when the morning gilds the boughs of the vaunted elm at the door of my house, I open the window and make a salute. God bless thy branches and feed thy root. Thou hast lived before, lived after me. Thou ancient, friendly, faithful trees. Trees.
Thank you, Rosie. At this time, Lionel McKenzie is going to play for us the Concerto No. 5 in D major by Seitz. Just stand. He's on the chair back there. Just take it out. Here. next piece that I wanted to read actually is called Zen Golf, Mastering the Mental Game by Dr. Joseph Parent, submitted by Barry Lawson. It's called Unconditional Confidence. How well we play golf is often a reflection of our level of confidence. We'd all like to have the feeling that every drive will find the fairway and every putt will find the hole. It's important to recognize that there are three kinds of confidence. False confidence. False confidence doesn't help at all. It's just talking big, kidding ourselves. It can lead to making unrealistic chances, usually with disastrous consequences. We may be trying to impress others into thinking we're better than we actually are. The truth comes out in no time on the golf course. Conditional confidence. This kind of confidence depends on recent results. We are confident on the condition that we continue to play well. When things go well, our confidence can build until we feel like we can make every shot. But if things go badly, we start questioning our ability. We start asking, what's wrong with me? From there, down we go. If we're worried that we might hit a bad shot, and we do, we feel less confident for the next time. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The antidote to this is unconditional confidence. Unconditional confidence arises from connecting with our basic goodness. We believe in ourselves as decent people and in our golfing skills for our level of play. This doesn't mean that we expect to hit every shot perfectly. It does mean that we can handle whatever the result is. With unconditional confidence, our self-worth as a human being doesn't depend on how well or poorly we strike a golf ball. We see our nature and our abilities as basically good, and the difficulties we encounter as temporary experiences. Instead of assuming something is wrong with our swing and trying to fix it, we reflect on what may have interfered with our intention on that shot. This approach makes it possible to quickly turn things around and play well again. Unconditional confidence takes a big perspective, independent of moment-to-moment results. The bigger the perspective we have, the better we can ride the inevitable ups and downs within a round, over several rounds, and even longer. We can handle difficulties with a sense of humor, knowing that these things come and go. We can regard experiences of success with a sense of humility. These also come and go. Whatever we encounter, we can be fearless in the moment. That's the expression of true confidence. Mary, would you like to read your next poem?
Sure.
I'm going to slide Mary in there. Oh, wait a minute. I went way out of order. No, actually, that's fine. Go ahead.
All right.
Mary's going to read another Robert Frost poem for us.
The mending wall this time. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen groundswell under it, and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I have come after them and made repair, where they have left not one stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding. To please the yelping dogs, the gaps I mean, No one has seen them made or heard them made. But at spring mending time, we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go, to each the boulders that have fallen to each. And some are loaves and some so nearly balls we have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game. One on a side, it comes to a little more. There where it is that we do not need the wall. He is all pine and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines, I tell him. He only says good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I would like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. I could say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there, bringing the stone grasped firmly by the top in each hand, like an old stone savage armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only and the shade of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought it so well, he says again, good fences make good neighbors.
Do you want to read the poem first, or shall we sing
Are we
first?
skipping that?
Yes, we are. Nancy's going to read, is it called No Man is an Island? Yes.
No. It's part of a longer.
Okay, and we're going to actually sing the song that was written from this movie.
So the phrase "no man is an island" comes from a long essay on death by John Donne, who wrote this in 1632. The theme is death, actually, and he was very ill at the time. And the part of this that we remember is the part that I'm going to read. No man is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thy friends, or if thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. And the song that's based on No Man is an Island, we're going to play and sing for you, and thanks very much to Ellie and Patty for singing this. This song is important to me because when I attended church camp in high school, and anyone who's ever gone to church camp knows that you remember the songs that you learned there. This was a song that we sang over and over again.
trio, Jenny McKenzie, Ellie Blatchley, and Nancy Tony, and they will sing Lift Thine Eyes by Mendelssohn. Mea culpa. May the light that is God animate our frames. May the truth that is God illumine our minds. And may the love that is God fill our hearts and govern our lives. Let the people say, Amen. Thank you all very much. Really enjoyed it.
I didn't make an announcement earlier, but I wanted to just caution people. There's a large metal dinosaur out back.
Bruce McLean?
Oh,
I had to get that in there. I'm sorry.
I don't know why. But I'm thinking that if anybody needs to come to church during the week, Kurt Fenoff will be putting in the new sewage connection to the town, which, speaking as your treasurer, is a tremendous investment for the church, because at some point, what we have now would give out and we'd be stuck. But hooking up to this is a great solution for wastewater in the future. And what it means is the whole, there's going to be some digging back here, and then it's going to come out this driveway and across the road. So I'm thinking, and we haven't, maybe you talked to Sonia about it, but I think this door is going to be really tough and really muddy for a lot of it, and any travel or parking out there could be impossible. So I'm just thinking, if you have to come, you might want to call Sonia first, or I don't know, maybe we're going to have to want to leave the side door open during the day so people can come in that way and you park across the way or back on this side. And hopefully it'll all be done this week. What I also don't know is that Alan Thresher is doing, we have drainage work, so hopefully the next deluge after that won't be guttering us the way these have. So Alan's gonna do this in combination with Kirk, but I don't really know the timing. I think Kirk's gonna be done with the excavation of the sewer system this week, but I'm not sure about Alan. So those are all big money sunk into the dirt that I think is a great investment in the church.
We also now have an operating chairlift. It seems that the batteries were dead and the sending unit was also bad. So the gal came and fixed that either Friday or yesterday. I'm not sure which day she was here, but.
And we had Rick Hunter came in, you know, we had last year, we had a problem with the organ blower motor, it was replaced, and Rick is our organ guru. He came back and worked on the organ, so that is back in shape. And, so I know, we have, when is the organ concert planned?
Sounds like
September.
September,
Yeah,
yeah.
September, it's our next.
Yeah,
And I know he's planning to come back one more time to give any final adjustments that need to be made before that concert.
and he said it was in good shape. And he said that it is now tuned like the Boston Symphony Orchestra at 442 instead of 440.
All right, thank you all very much. Please come and